Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to crumble!
I'm Joshua Kemble, and welcome to Joshua Kemble's Livestream. I've been a freelance illustrator and graphic designer for over 20 years. I was an art director for 9 years. And when I'm not art directing and working on illustrations and graphic designs, I'm working on comic books and graphic novels, and that's usually what I do during my streams. And while conversations can go all over the place on this stream, from spicy and entertaining to goofy and silly, one thing stays consistent throughout every stream. I'll always be working on art. So pull up a chair, get your art supplies out, and get ready for an entertaining show that'll keep you company while you work on your own personal art projects. This is Joshua Kemble's Art Stream. All right, welcome to episode 332 of my live stream. I'm going to be working on comics today. I have talked about this a lot on YouTube, but there's this thing that happens with art where you kind of get in like a good momentum. And so like you don't want to lose momentum. And so you kind of like carve out a specific time each day and work on comics and that kind of thing. And generally, if I do that and kind of stick to it, I tend to be very productive. But if I like lose a couple days, then my productivity kind of goes through the roof or out the window or whatever, because I've lost momentum. And that's kind of what I've found this week. The last few weeks, honestly, a little bit of my routine has changed. And so it's been really hard for me to just do the basic thing of just showing up and doing the work. And that's no excuse. It's just like, it's interesting, like today, how long it took me to get to working on comics and just kind of doing the work I know I need to do. And I'm hoping to kind of break the cycle of not kind of being in a good momentum space, I guess would make sense. So that's what I'm going to try to do, which means hopefully tomorrow after I do my day job stuff, hopefully I'll be on stream and working on comics and continue to kind of do that throughout the week, but we'll kind of see how that goes. So anyhow, that's no excuse. And again, I don't even mind if you guys kind of hold me to it. If you haven't seen me stream in a little bit, definitely let me know. And hopefully I can kind of get out of my little funk of not getting a ton of work done. Okay, so today we're going to work on the roughs and thumbnails and roughs for page 91 of Not Death But Love, The Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning, which is a book I'm doing for Turner Publishing, written by Lavender Vroman. So we're going to kind of try to knock that out, and we'll be live streaming while doing it. I hope you guys are having a productive week and hopefully are gaining momentum of your own on your own personal projects. Okay, so here's my blank page. That's where we're going to start. And then what you're going to see below me is, I just realized like the angle of this is not the best. Let me adjust that real quick for you guys. Just goes to show you. Okay, so hopefully that'll show like my little work spot. Frank said it's been a good week. That's awesome. Yeah, for me it's been a mixed week. Like I just need to get back in the zone and get working. So it's like that weird thing of like it's not that hard to show up and do the work until you take a couple days off of showing up and doing the work. And then suddenly resistance comes in. There's a book that I'm really into called The War of Art. Not the art of war, but the war of art, where it talks about kind of like as a writer or a creative kind of setting daily schedules so that you fight resistance. And it's totally true because it's like today, just to sit and do some roughs, which is not like super hard or crazy. And it's not outside of my wheelhouse. It's definitely something I've done, 91 times on this particular book, or 90 times. It'll be 91 now. And for some reason, it's just like every voice in my head. It's like, oh, you got to go to the store. Oh, you got to do this. Oh, you like everything comes up as like an excuse to not do the thing I know I'm supposed to do. And so hopefully I get out of this rut. Again, I think it's not an excuse. It's more of just me acknowledging I'm in a bit of a rut and I need to get out of it. So hopefully today will be the start. I thought 2 days ago when I live streamed was going to be the start, but then yesterday is like the same thing. I had a bunch of resistance and I just gave in. And so that's what we're going to be working on now, is just kind of going through. So the script is down there below me. And then right here is my hand as I'm working on my cheap Wacom tablet. And then to my left, and I guess your right, is my Photoshop page where I'm going to be working on the rough. So let's start it out as we usually do when we're working on roughs, which is we're going to make a list. Frank, I'm curious to hear why it's been a good week and how your week went, man. Let me know. Okay, so this is going to be list, and we're going to just make a list based on the script for page 91 of what we need to draw. And then we'll go from there to thumbnailing and then roughing out the work. But yeah, it's interesting because it's like I'm on a project where I really can't afford days off, and I've had a couple weeks of just lagging productivity. So hopefully it kind of gets all situated and back to normal. I know next week I'm going to have a more consistent schedule with the day job stuff, and so hopefully that will start spurring like a more consistent schedule with productivity and stuff like that. On a good note, I might have a guitar coming tomorrow, or not tomorrow, next week. So there's like a crazy good deal on a guitar I've had my eye on for about a year and a half, and I bit the bullet. So that should be shipping next week. And it's like a all solid wood acoustic guitar, which I've never owned an all solid wood. The nicest acoustic that I have is a Siegel S6, and that's like a solid, I think, cedar top, but it doesn't have it has a laminate sides and back. And it's a beautiful guitar. Like, I love my Siegel, but this should be like a level above that. It's like a hummingbird. It's not a Gibson hummingbird. That's way outside of my expenses, but it's a Epiphone inspired by Gibson hummingbird. And I hear they're really good. So we'll see. And it's great because it's an acoustic electric, and I don't have an acoustic electric. Both my acoustics are just straight up acoustics. So that's my justification for my guitar acquisition syndrome. There's nothing I like more than getting a new guitar. Okay. Let's see here. So, but that I should consider that like that's a reward for my hard work that I'm going to start doing starting right now. Okay. So, here is what we're going to work on, which is the script. So, okay, let's read the part of the script that we're going to work on. It says, the Reimers Villa is a 3-story building with shutters and large iron gates. Oh, you know what we should do too? Let's pull the JPEGs of the previous roughs. I think the previous 2 roughs, just so we get a rough idea of what we're drawing here. So this was page 80, and we'll kind of put that in place, and then we'll kind of go from there. That shouldn't really be taking as long as it is. Okay, so we're gonna have our page 90 here, And then we're going to have page 89. Just pull that up too, just so I have that as reference. So we kind of know what we're dealing with for costumes and all that kind of stuff. So that's the villa that they're talking about, like a 3-story villa. You know, just a modest 3-story villa. I swear, like the people who are in love with Victorian stories and assume that, like in a Jane Austen novel, they'd be the main character. I don't think they realize like we'd be lucky if we're like the maids in the or the butler servant in the story. In Pride and Prejudice, none of the people I know would be at the ball, right? We'd all be poor, like poor people, like possibly lucky if we had a place to live. Which is funny because half the plots of like Jane Austen films are about, this poor family was so down on their luck they only had like 2 maids. It's kind of crazy. I don't know what the dogs are freaking out about, but they're really going. So they wanted to be a part of this show as well. Really not sure what they're freaking out about. Okay, so let's try to make our list. Those dogs, man, they're really going for it. Okay, so let's try to make our list. Philip said, "Good evening." Good evening, Philip. How are you doing? I have a cacophony of sound. For those of you who are into dog ASMR, there's some dog ASMR for you guys. So, okay. So like I said, Philip, if you're just tuning in, I've been in a funk the last like week or so. And I just have not been on my game with like getting work done. Nice. Philip said, "I caught you live tonight just in time for the dog show." That's right. They're really worked up about some neighbor walking around or something. Okay, so anyhow, my goal is to kind of get out of the funk and try to build a good momentum on the book and on working on art and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that tonight will be the breaking of the cycle. So okay, we've got number 1 says the Reimers Villa is a 3-story building with shutters and large iron gates opening into manicured circular drive with a large fountain in the middle leading to the front door. Illuminated by lamplight, Sophie stands near the door facing the drive, gloved hands clutching her bag, and a light shawl covering her shoulders. So we've already drawn her with her shawl, right? We have pretty much got this kind of worked out. It's just like, like we've established the setting and stuff like that. But I think for one, it's going to be Sophia standing front door facing the drive. So hands clutching bag. So that's going to be number 1. Philip said, "I hear that. I've been in a bit of one myself." Yeah, it's weird too, because it's like you'll get in these flows where it's just like you get so much accomplished in one day. And then, my wife and I were talking about it because we both kind of hit this point where we were just like super productive. And then it's like something threw off both of our schedules. And then we're both like just super lazy. Like, I don't even know if lazy is the right word, just out of sorts, like not on our game. So today is return with power and strength and get this stuff done. I'm usually a pretty crazy productive guy, but yeah, the last few weeks it's just been surprising how easy. And I think a lot of it has to do with like big life changes outside, like a career change, things like that. Can kind of, I don't know, just throw off that like repetition. That's actually pretty good. I always encourage artists to have some repetition in their routine, right? You have a specific time of day where it's like it's time to sit down and work. Okay, so number 2 is going to be Sophia digging in handbag for compact. So okay, so that's number 1 is going to be kind of a wide shot, I'm imagining, of Sophia standing at the front door of the Reimer's villa, hands clutching her bag. She's illuminated by lamplight. Number 2 is going to be she digs into her handbag for a compact. That'll probably be a tight shot. Number 3 is going to be she extracts compact. Number 4 will be let's see. I think number 4 is going to be a POV of Sophia looking in compact. I think number 5 will be the same shot, but home appears. Home emerges from the door behind her. Number 6 will be Sophia to home. She's going to be saying, "Mr. Home, you gave me a fright." And number 7 will be home to Sophia, because he's going to stand next to her unsmiling. Home is going to say, "Seances can have that effect. Where's Mr. Eckley?" So that's the scene. That's the page. So now that we have our shot breakdown, now we need to start with our thumbnails, which shouldn't be too bad. And we're going to go ahead and say thumbnail. And I feel like, do I have the shot of the, kind of hoping that we have that. There it is. There's the Reimer's villa. So that's going to be where they're at. So there's going to be that thing in the front that's a that looks like a bathtub. That's going to be a fountain. So she's going to be standing in there, which is going to be good for us to kind of see. So, okay. Okay, so let's see. She's standing in the door. How are we going to show this? Can be, well, let's see about layout. Could it be wide? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or could it be 2, 4, 6, or 2, 3, 2? I'm trying to think for layout. I think we'll start this one with. Okay, we'll start this one with 2 wide panels. So this one will be, I want to see that Reimer's villa again, just to kind of visualize it a little bit. Okay, so this will be, she's standing to the front, by the front door, facing the drive. Do we want to show it from her perspective or maybe from the side? I think I like the idea of it being like from her perspective. So she's going to be kind of looking down. Her hands are going to be clutching her bag. And she's going to have a shawl. And then we're going to have her sort of here, maybe with like a tilt. Okay. And then we're going to have the doorway. She's like kind of near the doorway. Let's see if this is okay. I'm glad I'm not drawing this over something. So she'll be kind of near the doorway. The doorway is going to be, it's going to have like this relatively tall thing. So the doorway is going to be here. Kind of like the idea of, okay. And then the doorway is going to have like that rounded top to it. And the doorway is part of like an archway that's going to kind of go out. But we kind of want to show, she's standing next to the doorway. I like the idea of this showing her kind of standing there, but it can also kind of show a little bit of, and I'm sure this is going to have steps. And I think here we'll do, okay, so there's like some sort of cool stonework here. There's definitely like a kind of weird thingamabopper here, as well as a balcony kind of thing. So I think that's what we'll see. And I like the idea that maybe this can be thinner. There's going to be like these are kind of at, okay, these are at like a kind of angle. Just trying to kind of work that out. And then there's, I think they'll actually kind of come up a little bit. Okay. And then we'll have our other thing. And what else? Okay, I think that goes to here, something like that. Okay, just kind of working it out a little bit, very roughly. This is a thumb, so that's okay. So then I think what we'll do is we'll put our just kind of like a, I want to show a little bit of the fountain. So I think this will continue just like almost like that. Just trying to kind of work it out here. Okay, and then the fountain is going to be kind of rounded here, and the fountain can have our kind of a weird trough-like fountain type thing here. So we'll have our fountain here. We'll have the kind of bushes that surround the fountain here. And we'll have to kind of assume that there's, I think from here there's some bushes in front of the building that'll be here. And then we'll have like a tree, I think somewhere like here. Okay, our very, very loose, crappy little thumb. So, and then I think, that'll work for kind of Sophia. Okay, that's our thumb. Again, we're not going to over noodle our thumbs. Okay. Number 2 is her digging into her handbag and extracting a compact. So I think we'll have this like as a shot of her arm up. And it's going to be a little handbag. So I don't know why it's saying, digging. Well, I guess maybe they're picturing a big handbag, but I think generally she's going to have her stuff over there. She's going to be digging in there in this shot. We'll still see the kind of ornate doorway here because we're kind of establishing where we're going to see home come from. I believe the ornate doorway will have kind of these square kind of things. And then similarly, it's going to have a guide like that. And this will be kind of casting a shadow. And I like the idea of her head kind of being down. So there we go. And then panel 3 will be of her extracting it. So here's going to be her kind of extracting the kind of a similar shot, but now she's extracted her compact. And she's going to be holding her bag here. And again, we'll have that that door, the sort of square things on it, and the doorway. So then we're going to have a shot of her looking at the compact. So that's going to be a POV shot of her holding the compact. And she's going to be kind of looking at, we need it a little bigger. She'll be looking at the compact, which will have the doorway in it. And we'll probably see the fountain or whatever through here. And some of the bushes. And let's see what else. I think you're going to see a little bit of the fence now from here. Okay, so we'll have that. And then number 4 will be, let's go back to our list. And we're just going to do, we're going to check off the ones we have. Okay. Now this is going to be panel 5, the same shot, but we're going to see home kind of appear in her compact. And let's get her. Why is my thumbnail? Did I do these on a different? Yeah, I did. Okay, so this will be called thumb. We'll get rid of that old thumbnail. Okay, so let's get our thumb over here. We'll resize it a little bit. Again, it's a thumbnail. It doesn't need to be huge. And then I'm going to basically repeat this same thing, where we're going to see home kind of appear from in the background, and she'll be a little more startled. So going to have home here. The door open, and then we'll see the other door here. And I'm going to have her looking a little startled. So here maybe she's like, yeah, maybe we see a little bit of her eye, just so that here we can have like that. Yeah, that'll work really well. Okay. And then we're going to have, we're just going to increase the size of this. Again, this is just a thumbnail. And we have a little bit left to go. So now we have, okay, she's going to be saying, Mr. Home, you gave me a fright. So this shot will be wide again. And it'll be something like about that wide. And it'll be her kind of turning here. And she's going to be facing home. And I'm going to have her kind of saying, Mr. Home, you gave me a fright. And she's going to be sort of turning toward him. So she's still holding her compact. Let's see. It's not going to be with both hands. So maybe this hand's out like, Mr. Home, you gave me a fright. And this will be her compact. And she's going to be sort of turning towards him. And home is going to be here. With his wild hair or whatever. And then we'll have the kind of doorway open, I think. No, the door will be closed. Never mind. I don't like this angle. I feel like they're too high up. So we're going to go ahead and grab these little stick figures that I'm using. And we're going to kind of move them a little bit. And I like the idea of there being a little more kind of perspective on it. Like, I actually think maybe we'll do home. He's supposed to be kind of standing behind her. So let's see. Let's try him being here. And I like that idea of him kind of standing, sort of looming almost, so that he'll be here. I even like the idea, maybe his hands are kind of folded, because I want him to be very kind of mysterious and stuff like that. So we have home kind of sitting here, and he's going to be kind of saying his thing. there's going to be the doorway behind them. It's that kind of square doorway. And then that'll kind of end here. Then we can have the kind of archway of the building. Maybe it can be here so it's less weird to have Sophie there. And then again, this will be like those bricks. And then I think for this, we're going to have a shot from... Let's see. Okay, let's get that space for the type. It's going to be him saying seances have that effect or whatever. And I kind of want it like his hands are going to be kind of folded again. But maybe his head is kind of here. And then I think she'll be here. Kind of, I think, looking to him. But now she's going to be holding her purse again, but putting her compact back in it. And I kind of want him looming a little more. So let's move where this is a little closer. That's actually kind of awesome. And maybe we can move them a little bit to here so that we can have kind of like him kind of speaking. We'll have her kind of near the thing, the edge of the door, and then here he's going to be kind of by the door. So we have like our rough. Okay, so that's our thumbnail. So now that we've finished our thumbnail, I'm going to go ahead and save this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to blue line our thumbnail and then go on to doing our roughs. But right now, what we're going to do is play Frank Salazar's amazing commercial. So in case you guys didn't catch it on stream 331, it is going to be replayed for 332. If you haven't yet, hit the like button. That way more people can find this. So if you're listening and enjoying this, please hit the like button. That'll help people find it. And I'm going to play a commercial, and then we'll be right back to go ahead and take this all the way to rough from thumbnail. So here is Frank's adventures at the library.
Our heroic adventurers fought orcs, monsters, sorcerers, necromancers. Now they find themselves in front of a mystical library. What shall they find? It's all in the roll of the dice.
We've come this far. There's great power behind this door. I can feel it. We just have to get past it. This door is no match for my axe. I shall chop it down. You always want to use brute strength. Why don't you try knocking? We'll try it your way. You may enter. The library is open to all those who seek knowledge. Feel free to look through our tomes. Maybe you'll find the answers you seek. I sense great power here, and it's behind those shelves. Indeed, there are powerful items hidden behind these shelves, but you can only get there through the enchanted words. Do you have those words? I believe I do.
Tremble before the Cremble.
There is great power. Look at that glove. Must be so powerful. That is not where I sense this power. I must get closer. I found them. I found the sacred manuscripts written by Joshua Kemble. Behold, I now possess 2 stories and Jacob's apartment. Please tell us more about 2 stories and Jacob's apartment, and who is Joshua Kemble?
Xeric Award-winning cartoonist Joshua Kemble is a freelance artist, graphic designer, and author. 2 Stories is a confessional graphic memoir that grapples with questions of faith, mental illness, depravity, and ultimately redemption in a fallen world. Jacob's Apartment is a coming-of-age graphic novel in the vein of Ghost Road and Fun Home. It weaves together the threads of spiritual faith, identity, purpose, love, and loss to create an engrossing world in which waking and sleeping dreams collide.
You have made your choice. The passage is now closed. Wait, can I get that glove? No. Oh. All right, let's go.
All right, I love that, and Frank's voice acting in that is amazing. I will say this until we actually make it happen, but I think Frank would be the best game master on the planet. It's just, can you imagine having a GM for like a D&D game that's like that super rad and into it? Um, I don't know. I think it's amazing. So anyhow, thanks again, Frank, for that. We will be playing that a lot on the stream. So how's everybody doing? So right now what we're doing is we're just kind of blocking in the panel borders. Again, this is the rough. So we're trying to get a good chunk of roughs for my publisher to kind of review. And then from there, I'll start doing final pages. But it'd be good to have like a nice little stock of roughs to kind of be able to get in that, again, that momentum that I was talking about. I don't want to lose momentum. And I think this is that'll help quite a bit. That's a little tight. Well, let's do just a little more space. There we go. Okay. A little bit more, like one little further. There we go. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the panel borders, and then we'll kind of go from the panel borders to roughs. And in this case, I was nice and loose with my thumbnails, so I have quite a bit of work to do on the roughs. But I think I have all the basic info that I need in the thumbnails, so that hopefully it doesn't take quite as long to kind of do. Another thing I was thinking about possibly doing, since I am getting a guitar next week, is possibly playing some acoustic songs on my stream. Maybe. So we'll see how that goes, but it might be kind of good to like practice. And the nice thing about an acoustic is you don't really need like a band or anything like that. You can just kind of play songs on your own. So if that's something you guys would be interested in, it's not that I'm not really a great guitarist, but it might be fun to kind of practice a song or two on stream just to kind of get in the flow of things. And of course, I'd have to like probably do some stuff off stream, like write a few songs and stuff like that. But I think it would be fun because I enjoy playing music. It's a part of my personality. Okay, so we're gonna have Sophie. So Sophie's gonna be here. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw Sophie real quick, and then we'll kind of work from there. And again, like, this is like taking a thumb and then going to a rough. So now we're going to make it much less like a like a little stick figure, and we'll actually start kind of putting in the pieces. I would like to have my Sophie reference here. So she has like a rose. Okay. So I kind of see where I'm going. Okay. So she's going to be looking down for her compact. So this isn't going to have like a ton of detail. But we're going to have Sophie here looking for her compact. She's going to have her rose thing here. Her hair is kind of back in like a bun. So there we go. She is wearing her shawl over her now. So her shawl is going to be kind of over her shoulders. And she's going to be holding her purse out like this, like so, which we're not really going to see a lot of. And let's see, what was... Yeah. Okay. So we'll have her kind of clutching it with both hands at this point. And where's her arm going to be? I like that idea. Okay. And now we're going to have her shawl is going to be sort of draped. There we go. Draped that way. And then we'll have her kind of having this very Victorian. The Victorian era had these like wide dresses. Sophie has like kind of more of a mild kind of thing going with her dress. Like she's not going to have as much crazy puffiness with her skirt as other characters in this. And then we're going to just go ahead and get our doorway here. And the doorway is going to have that that kind of rectangular thing going on. Or not rectangular, like kind of square inlays. I like the idea of this having kind of an old school cool handle to it. And then we'll do the same thing here. And this is going to be blocked by the archway or whatever. And again, this is a rough, so we're not going to get like crazy into detail, but we can get into a bit of detail, right? So here is going to be I'm guessing this will be kind of like a split kind of wood paneled sort of entryway type thing. And then this will have, again, just like a wood kind of beam around it. And then we're going to see like the edge here of the wall. And then this is going to be kind of like here. And we'll do like a kind of archway. Sort of goes to here. There we go. And there's going to be some steps. So we'll have some steps here. This is going to be framing those steps. And we can turn off our Sophie thing now. And I think this will be the last bit of the steps. I might actually, okay. Never mind. We'll get rid of that little extra part I just did. There we go. And then we're going to have, actually, I think the archway should kind of frame the steps. So we'll kind of mess with that real quick. I like the idea of the archway kind of being built to like frame the steps. And then this is going to have that stonework that we've seen from the top. So I kind of need to see the building now. Let's put that building here. Okay, and I'm starting to get a little tight with my drawing, so I need to loosen up quite a bit. This is going to be that sort of thing. Like it's got like some interesting details on it. And similarly, like it kind of goes to here. And then there's going to be like stonework. Have our stonework here. Okay. And then this is going to have like stones that kind of go like this. And so on. And then we're going to have our, there's like a kind of thing here that I think is going to be pretty important to have. It's going to be like the balcony kind of overhang. And I think there's like a mild thing here. So, okay. And then we have stonework that kind of goes like this. There's my dogs again. They're losing their minds. Okay. So then we're going to have our Then we're going to have our part here. That's going to be like the stonework here. There's like a little side thing. It's going to kind of go like this. This has like a balcony kind of thing with the window. So again, there's like a kind of thing here. That's going to kind of go here. This will have, you know what I'm realizing is my doorway, it's like too extreme of a tilt. Okay, so this actually needs to be like more kind of tilted like that, like so. And then we're going to have our kind of window here. We need to have just a little bit more of an angle to this to where the perspective kind of works. And this will have that kind of thing. Got it. Okay. And then there's going to be like a little thing here. There's very similarly, like we have that. That's going to go up to here, which is going to have kind of the rectangular bit, kibbles and bits there. Actually, this might actually be a little taller. So we'll go ahead and correct that. I think that actually works a little better. It should be a little bit taller of a window. And then similarly, like we're going to see, now we're going to see right here, right about here is where you're going to actually see some of the kind of, I think they're like plants. And then there's like there should be like a kind of tree here. And that'll be kind of in another thing with another set of plants. Okay, and here we'll have the other kind of closing in. And that'll be, other kind of detail. And then here is going to be that side of the building that has like those little things. And it's going to continue on. I think there's... Oh, okay. Now I'm seeing something else. There's like a kind of hang here. And then we're going to do a hang here where that's going to kind of go here and that's going to go here. And then similarly, we're going to have our okay. That's going to have our another kind of plant, or not plant, but like bigger tree. And this will be like kind of somewhat let's see here, kind of close to the fountain. And then we're going to have our fountain. Kind of don't like what's going on with this tree here. Then we're going to have our fountain here, sort of spraying water. And that should actually kind of go all the way across. So that's going to be like here to here. Nick said, "Hey, my brother from another mother. It looks awesome. How's it going, Nick?" So this is going to be that that like fountain, and then we're going to have the edge of the fountain, and that's going to be kind of here with some water or whatever. And then we'll have again like that those bushes or whatever. So the bushes can be here. They're going to be kind of squared around there.
Is that Nick Roman?
Yeah.
How's Eliza?
Jim was saying, is this 332? Yes, Jim. Don't worry. It's not 333. Do not worry. I will not do episode 333 without you, my dude. There's Artcasters tomorrow, so I likely won't be doing a live stream on my own tomorrow. So I'm guessing that should be on Friday around 5-ish or something like that, or 5 or 6. So I will give you a message, Jim, when I'm about to go live, just so you don't miss it. And this is going to be a dark kind of scenario, so we want to kind of shade it. But the nice thing about this is we're going to have, page 91 roughed out by the end of the day. And then continue kind of having productivity. I'm really excited. Jim, you said you're having a Hey Man, how's your movie going tomorrow? Is that with Paul Pate? I'm actually really excited about that. Jim Lujan has a stream on Jim Lujan on YouTube where he does Hey Man, how's your movie going? And it's great. It basically tells you how his movie's going. And for those of you who have not seen Jim Lujan's movies, I think you're missing out. You should reconsider your life and check out Jim Lujan's cartoons. You're really missing out otherwise. Nice. Philip said, I almost forgot. I might be going live in a couple of hours. Nice, Philip. I'll send people your way because I should be doing this. And then, afterwards probably calling it. So, okay, so this is going to be Sophie. She's like reaching into her bag. But I have to admit, I'm really excited. Jim, I don't know if you knew this, but I am a nerd, and there was a deal on a guitar that I've been looking at for like 2 years. And it was like there was a B stock version of it that had like a mild blemish on it, and so it was like sold at like a ridiculous cost, and then it was through Sweetwater, which I love. They're my favorite music shop online because they do like a really good setup and stuff of your music, your instrument before sending it. But yeah, so they had like a payment plan where it was like, I don't know, it cost something really cheap every month to get. So I was like, I'm going to get this thing. So I bought a Hummingbird, but it's an Epiphone. It's the inspired by Gibson Hummingbird. Jake said, oh no, another reconsideration. Exactly. Reconsider your life choices if you have not checked out Jim Lujan's amazing cartoons. Just reassess, make better decisions. So anyhow, Jim, I thought you'd get a kick out of that because it'll be the closest I'll ever get to the real Hummingbird, which is like the legendary, but it is all solid woods. So it'll be the first acoustic guitar that I will ever own that has total solid wood, like solid wood sides, back, and front. I kind of want to see. I kind of want to see what Jim sent me. Jim bought a new guitar too. Oh, that's beautiful. That's pretty. So this is Jim's new beautiful guitar. I'll show you guys. It's hard to show you guys. Hold on. Let me that's a pretty guitar. I've heard good things about Firefly guitars. Are they is it good? I've read really good reviews. That's like a 335 style too. I've never owned a 335 style guitar. That's really pretty. Whew. So I'm not alone in the guitar acquisition syndrome. That's the problem I have with my life. I can never own enough guitars. I'm pretty set for electrics. Like there's a bunch, like even Jim showing me that, I'm like, I don't own a 335 style guitar. So that is one style of electric I have yet to own. But I think I'm okay for electrics. Yeah, as much as there's like tons of beautiful electric guitars out there, I'm pretty content with the ones I have. But now, so I thought I was done with like acquiring guitars, and then I was like, but I need a good acoustic. Like I have an okay acoustic. The best one I have is a Siegel, which is a great like mid-range acoustic guitar. Like they are wonderful. It's a solid top, but it doesn't get that like all solid wood, like beautiful tone. And so now I'm going to get an all solid wood inspired by Gibson Epiphone Hummingbird. And I'm really excited about that. Yeah, Jim was saying I love it and it was under $300. Yeah, I remember when I was looking into getting that 59 Les Paul reissue thing, and I was watching videos of people who swore by Firefly's Les Pauls. And I just, and they're like a couple $100, like, but they are supposedly really good instruments, like to the point where when I've looked at them, they get like back ordered like crazy. Like they'll announce a release of a guitar and then it'll just disappear real quick because there's a whole set of people who are like huge fans of those. So that's pretty rad. Under $300 for like a playable 335 style guitar is insane, you know. And that is one of those kind of guitars you want to own at some point, is like a 335 style guitar. I've been really digging the Epiphone inspired by Gibson stuff. Is like unbelievable how good that stuff is. Epiphone used to be like meh, like okay for you know, like they were always kind of not that great. Like they weren't bad, but they were just like meh. And then I don't know what happened. Like the last few years they just upped their game with the factories, and I think it's because China has gotten like a much better at like luthiering and making really strong guitars to the point where they're like heavy hitting guitars. So I really enjoy my Inspired by Gibson Les Paul, and then I think that I'm gonna probably enjoy the Hummingbird too. Yeah, Jim was saying I love the Firefly because I can play really 60s and 70s sounding corny music on it and sounds legit, really carries a song. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like those hollow body or semi hollow bodies, I think that's a full hollow body, right? Let me look at it. Yep. Yeah, those are going to have a certain tone, you know. I'm curious what the pickups are like on the Fireflies. But yeah, I have definitely watched one of many, like I've gone down a rabbit hole of watching stuff about Firefly. I will have to at some point, Jim, we're going to have to hang out, and I want to check it out. I want to check out your Firefly cuz cuz I've heard good things, and like a guitar that's only a couple $100 is a pretty rad. And I'm a fan of guitars that are under a couple $100, you know. Up until like, you know, 5 years ago or whatever, almost every guitar I owned was like a couple $100. Like I was a Squire guy. And it's only like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago that I got my first like Fender, you know, like a real like a real American made Fender Telly, and I just fell in love. But I still have that side of me that like, dude, if you can get a decent guitar that's like a couple $100, the fun thing about that too is like if they're good, you know, like Firefly, again, I've heard good things about their Les Pauls. I've heard good things about their SGs. I have just heard that they're really good, and I've heard really good things about their 335s. So I would love to play with it for sure. You own a Fender Mustang 1972 and you bought it for $300. I hate you, Jim. that is a crazy expensive guitar to get for $300. But I do have like, I have my cheap, I'll show you the acoustic. So my Seagull is in my room, but over here, the one I keep out in the living room is like, it was like an $80 guitar or maybe like $60 guitar, brand new a long time ago, called a Jasmine by Takamine. It's like an awful guitar, but I love it. It's like a beater that I can have like right in the living room and just noodle on. Yeah, so this thing is probably made out of like plywood, but it's actually a really nice. It's aged really well because this is probably from like 93 or something, 94. But it's like there's such bad guitars. And then I got a Seagull. Seagulls are really nice. They use like all Canadian wood. They're Canadian made guitars, and they're a really good mid range guitar. But this one that's coming next week is going to be like my first like nice acoustic guitar. I like cheap guitars too. I have a couple of my Squiers I modded, and I like that with a cheap guitar you don't feel bad like changing out pickups or pots or like messing with it or putting stickers on it. It's like it's kind of fun. Like cheap guitars are great. So and they've gotten better. Like the quality of like for instance Squires, you know, if I was still buying electric guitars, man, I'd be buying a lot of those Squires cuz like they have such beautiful guitars now. It's crazy. Like they have like a vintage Squire reissue where and sorry to anyone who's like like I came here to talk about comics and art, and it's like now we're talking guitars. But yeah, like Squire has these like amazing like vintage reissues of Fenders, and they're like, I mean, when you play some of these Squires you play, it's kind of like Epiphone started doing this too, but it's like a few years back, like Squire started putting out guitars that you play and you have no idea, like you would never, you could barely tell the difference between like a Squire and a legit Fender because like the quality just got so good. And then they started using like appointments that are better and better pickups and like way better woodworking, and it's just like unbelievable. So you can get these like vintage models, you know, like a couple people I know got there's like a 1970s Telecaster that's semi hollow body. It's a very expensive guitar if you get the real thing, but a lot of people I know bought the Squire, and it's like you really wouldn't know. You would have no idea. Um, Also, my buddy bought the J Mascis. J Mascis released a I think it was a Jaguar that that is just beautiful, and it's a Squire, and it's like, I mean, it's, again, you'd have no idea. You'd have no idea like from playing it. It actually plays almost as good, if not better, than his Fender. He has a legit Fender Mustang too, and it's like him and I have both talked about it where it's like you can barely, like, I cannot pick a favorite between those two guitars because they just got so good. Um, so yeah, anyhow, like kids nowadays, this is gonna sound so corny and like old to say, but like kids nowadays have no idea how good cheap guitars have gotten. Like, because like the first guitar I had, if you're bored, you should look it up, was called a Synsonics, and I ordered it from a Sears catalog, and I think that thing was sincerely made of plywood. Um, I've thought about buying one used, you know, because they sell them for like nothing, you know, and they're still around. Like you can, you know, if you hunt on eBay, I've thought about picking one up just to see, just to play it again, because I literally broke it on stage when I was in like punk bands and stuff, because it was a horrible guitar. I loved it. I learned on it, but it went out of tune like every 2 seconds. Um, it like, I mean, that thing was literally made out of plywood, and that cost at the time like $100 or something, which was like crazy cheap for a guitar back then. And it's like, you know, unbelievable to me that that like how good, like for instance, like the Squires I used to own were like meh, like they were horrible guitars, but they were kind of like okay. But like I said, like the quality now, you know, like for instance, me being able to get an all solid wood acoustic guitar, you know, from Epiphone, that's like getting rave reviews, and like there's like huge guitar buyers that are like huge fans of it. That was like never, that just didn't exist back then. Um you just didn't have guitars that were like cheap that were that good. You might luck out back in the day at like a pawn shop. That's one thing I miss. Like Jim was describing getting a Fender for like $300. I don't know if that was from a pawn shop, but like I got some decent guitars at pawn shops back in the day. Now that's harder to do. It's harder to find like a pawn shop that doesn't know what they have, because everyone has access to eBay. So it's really hard to like find for used guitars. It's not like the golden era. Like back in the day, you used to be able to find like a pretty killer guitar that somebody was selling and they didn't know what they had. Like they didn't know, oh, this is like a really expensive, nice guitar. And so you could go into a pawn shop sometimes and like, you know, $50 or something and get like a $700 guitar that they didn't know was that. But now, like now that the internet's more common, that's the one thing I don't envy kids for. It's harder to get like a killer deal on a used guitar. But for a new guitar, it's like the golden era because you can get like Jim was talking about, where it's like you can get like a Firefly. I've heard really good things about those. I want to play your 335 now. That would be fun. Jim was saying that Billy Squire makes great guitars. But yeah, like there's so many, like we're in a really good era. It's crazy. Yeah. The problem with guitars is like, there's some really cool little cheap acoustics I want to mess with at some point too, called Recording King. There's a company I think in California that bought the rights to use the Recording King label, which was a Sears catalog brand of guitar that used to be manufactured by Gibson, but they were like really cheap guitars. But they did like bluegrass instruments and stuff. And I've been peeking at those. They're really, really cheap. But they look so rad. And I've played some, like they'll have like a forgetting what that's called. It's like those metal guitars, the guitar not for heavy metal, but like they're actually made of a resonator. That's it. That's the term for it. So they'll have like resonators and like banjos and all sorts of cool, like weird, like bluegrassy instruments. And they also have like these little parlor guitars for like $100 that are just rad looking. And they look cheap, but like they look cheap like a old blues guy would be like rocking one of those. But Epiphone, like speaking of like 335s, man, a couple years back they did a BB King issue like guitar, and it was like unbelievable. And they even had like Gibson pickups on it. And it was like super cheap, like comparatively, like to it's cool. It's cool to see what happens with that. But now I'm really curious about the Firefly, Jim. You'll have to you know what you should do, Jim, is just film like a little, like just do a little riff and like send me a clip of it, because I'm really curious about that. Okay, so this was going to be the water. So I just rambled for like 10 hours about instruments. Yeah, this is the problem with guitars, because I'm like, I do love baritones too. Like it'd be fun to have a baritone, you know. I used to have a long time ago. I'm trying to remember this brand. They're like it's like a plastic guitar. Dan Electro. I used to have a Dan Electro that had like a little lipstick pickup. I had that in the 90s. And it was a fun little guitar, you know? And I'm not sure if it was actually plastic. I think it might have actually been plastic. But I think it did have like a nitro finish and stuff. And it's funny because I've seen those used going for like crazy amounts of money. But that was a fun guitar. It was like super lightweight. That went out of tune real easy though. Oh, Jim says I have a Stella guitar from the 1950s. It's at your brother's house. He bought it in the early 90s for $100. It's awesome. Yeah, I have a Squire that I modded. That's like a little probably cost me like $100. It's like a cherry red telly, and I modded it with some Guitar Fetish pickups. They were like real quacky, like um, P90s, which are like this really screamy. So it's got like a P90 and then like a variable pickup that like switches from like a humbucker to a single coil. And so total, the guitar probably cost about $200, and that thing screams like it's beautiful. I love that thing. I'll still use that if I'm like recording something like real crunchy, where I really need like a heavy attack, because it just sounds beautiful and it plays beautifully. Yeah, and then I have my old I have too many tellies. I have 3 Telecasters. But 2 of them are Squires, and then one of them's like the real deal. And I will say the real deal, like, it is one of those things of like it's kind of like fine whiskey, where I like, like Bullet Bourbon and like Jameson, and like those are really good whiskeys. But when you have like Jameson Gold Label or like a really fine whiskey that's been aged forever, it's like it is better. It does taste better. It's kind of like that with guitars, where you play like a really good guitar and it's like, yeah, the cheap thing is fun, but like, oh man, it makes a difference.
Did you ever find out why Gary was having a good day?
What's up?
Did you ever find out why Gary was having a good day?
No, I didn't. Yeah.
And then you should ask everybody about Halloween.
What's everybody's plan for Halloween? What is your guys' plan for Halloween? I don't really know what our plans are. But I feel like, Jim, you must be playing a bunch of Beatles riffs with that guitar. That's beautiful. I can't believe the finish on that. Yeah. Fireflies are cool. I want to know if they live up to the hype. I'm really curious about that. Because yeah, back when I was considering buying like my first like Les Paul, that was something I considered for sure, was Fireflies, because just so many people were like, "Dude, these are really good." Jake said he's drawing. Nice. And Jake said he'll make better decisions earlier by finishing 100 pages by December. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Jim was saying I've been playing a lot of 1950s and 60s country and early Stones. Nice. Mainly been writing originals. Yeah, I'm the same way. I think, Jim, you and I have talked about this, but like, I never was like I can play a cover here or there, but I've never been like a cover band type of guy. I always liked writing my own stuff, Even though like I'm not like a great musician, but I like making my own stuff. It's kind of like art too, where it's like I just really like making my own stories, or characters. I don't tend to like draw a lot of like fan art where I'm like, I'm gonna draw Spider-Man today, Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just something with my personality. But yeah, I bet you. So have you been doing like those like kind of a lot of string bend stuff? Because I feel like if you have a 335, you got to do that like bendy string, like like not the Strat string bend, but like the kind of more slow like hammer on and bend of like a BB King. Jim said Elvis too. Dude, favorite era of Elvis, Jim. My favorite is, it used to be like the good stuff, like the 50s Elvis. And then as I've gotten older, I really like drugged out, crazy Elvis with his like jazzercise outfit stuff. That's like my favorite Elvis stuff now. Like, I think Suspicious Minds might actually be my favorite Elvis song. I mean, for like quality, if we're talking about like good songs, like quality of songwriting, you know, rockabilly, like original 50s Elvis is like excellent. Like, he was such a good songwriter, entertainer, you know, pretty killer guitarist, all of that. But I don't know what happened. I really like crazy lost his mind Elvis. Like, I feel like he was hitting the peak of his songwriting. And his mama cries in the ghetto. I feel like, Jim, you need a song in one of your cartoons that's like an in the ghetto type song. We need to get Jim like a soul chorus in the background. You know? Something I'd like to see is a chorus of souls. I'm looking at this guitar again. That's beautiful, dude. That's sort of unbelievable. In the ghetto nation. That's true. That's true, Jim. I like that. Now I'm really curious about fireflies. My brain is extra curious now. But yeah, like I said, budget guitars have gotten so much better. There's a bass that I have that, like, Music Man used to be like one of the best quality basses you could get. It was like Leo Fender, when he left Fender, made like the Stingray, right? And so you had yep.
I'm sorry. Did you watch Benji's hair last night? You did, right?
No, the night before.
The night before. Okay.
So Leo Fender, like, he designed like the P bass and the jazz bass, which are both great basses, you know. But then when he left Fender, he like retired for a little bit, and then he came back to guitar building and invented the Stingray, which is like an active bass. And at least from what Leo Fender considered it, he thought that was like the ultimate evolution of the bass, and a lot of bassists agree. It's just a beautiful bass. It's really easy to play. You know, and anyhow, but back in the day, like when I was playing music back in the day before there were better budget guitar options, if you wanted a Stingray, you're screwed. Like, it's going to cost you at least a couple grand, you know. Even used, it was hard to get a hold of a Stingray. And then it's bizarre, but it's like Music Man created a whole new division that's like cheap budget guitars called Sterling, and they're great. They're like, they play beautifully. So you can get like a Sterling Music Man Stingray, and it's like, it plays like a Stingray. It's like the action's perfect. It's like really good woods. It's got a good feel, and it's like, you know, like a quarter of the price, if not a little cheaper than that. And you can get them used for like next to nothing. And it's like, again, like a budget bass that's like, killer, you know. Like it's kind of cool that exists. Like I'm glad there's budget guitars, you know. But yeah, before I got the picked up the I know I'm just talking about music stuff. We're drawing her compact here. But yeah, before I picked up the Hummingbird, I was like real close to getting a Yamaha Red Label, because those are beautiful guitars too. Yamaha, like back in the day, in the 60s, I think it was like 66 or whatever, they released their Red Label acoustics, and they're like solid wood, built in Japan, like amazing guitars. And they've kind of become really infamous. Like Elliott Smith played one. Like I believe like there's just a ton of like folk guys that had like Red Label Yamahas, and they're like kind of neat because they're like an unpretentious guitar. Like it's like a lot of guys, you know, when they get real famous, are like, I'm gonna play a Gibson, or I'm gonna play like a Martin or a Taylor or something like that. And it's like the weird thing is like the Yamaha Red labels were like for guitarists that were kind of in the know. Like they didn't need the like cool Gibson-y like thing, which by the way, most of us would love like a Gibson or something, like, you know, acoustic, like a J45 or something. But anyhow, point being, those Red Label guitars are real good, and they have like a decently priced one. But I got a much better deal on this Hummingbird, so I was like, I got to do the Hummingbird. Why am I giving her long hair? That doesn't make sense. Also, she has like, let's see here. Man, some of the shortcuts on Photoshop have changed substantially. It's a little irritating. There we go. And this will be the rose is going to be on the right side. So actually we could have some of the rose here. And again, these are just roughs, you know, so this is just showing the publisher what we're going to do. But yeah, that's really cool, Jim. I want to see that. Are you going to show off you got to show off that guitar on your hey man, how's your movie going? So the nerd in me, if I was gonna get like a 335 style guitar, I would get candy red, like candy apple red. That's the one guitar I'd really want, like candy apple red, if I could, because Marty McFly. That's why. Oh, that's actually a question I forgot to ask you, Jim. Have you played Johnny Be Good, the little I think that's gotta happen, Jim. Some Chuck Berry riffs. So again, we're just kind of plugging in the old roughs. Getting closer. But yeah, if you guys are ever bored and you want to look up some really beautiful budget guitars, just check out the Squire vintage reissues. It's like, those are some pretty guitars, man. I can think or talk about guitars all day. I just love that stuff. And I like to watch like reviews and stuff. I don't know, Jim, if that's how you found out about like the Firefly thing, but like I like watching there's a couple like YouTube channels where like guys will kind of review like budget guitars, and you know, it's really interesting to kind of hear like what is good. And again, like Firefly is one of those ones that a lot of those channels are like, this is like a hidden gem. Okay. So we are getting closer to done. We're at the hour and 30-minute mark. And since Jim is in chat, I think it's about time we play. You know, we've been playing Kids Say Kemble a lot. I feel like we need to play Wordzoid. So here is Jim Luhan's commercial for my books, and I will be right back.
Well, Peter, since I'm such a big music fan, I'm going to have to go with Karen Carpenter. Oh, Stu, I'm sorry. That's the incorrect answer. Trish, what you got for us?
I'm going to go with Kim Gordon.
All right, let's check that answer. Kim Gordon. Do we have a Kim Gordon? Yes, and that means you're our new Wordzoid champion, Trish. Dale, tell Trish what she's won.
Trish, you've won a copy of 2 stories, a memoir of faith and mental illness. Handwritten, hand-drawn, and handed to you by artist and writer Joshua Kemble. But wait, that's not all. You've also won a copy of Jacob's Apartment, the story of a doomed romance. What happens when you take Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and put it in a blender with Ghost World? You get Jacob's Apartment, written and illustrated by Joshua Kemble. Trish, thank you for playing Wordzoid.
All right, great job, Trish. I was told I was going to get a lifetime supply of paper towels.
All right, guys, welcome back. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. And we're going to just go ahead and continue our rough for page 91. So for this, I want to see home now. So I'm going to look at my reference here of Mr. Home, who was a creepy looking dude. So we're working on a historical fiction graphic novel. And this is the rough for Not Death But Love, page 91. Okay. That's pretty cool. Jim, when did you get the guitar? I'm curious now. Now I'm like on this weird guitar kick. Sorry to those in the chats who might be like, no. It's just a pretty guitar. Like I'm really impressed by that. That's a really nice sunburst they did on that too. Looks like a really good finish. Unbelievable. They have like perloid inlays. It's just really pretty. Nice binding. It's crazy, dude. Okay, let's see here. Mr. Home, you gave me a fright. Mr. Home, you gave me a fright. Yeah, I have a couple friends that play those like 335 style guitars. Like they're really into like Gretches and Epiphone's actual, like, that's one thing Epiphone has always excelled in, is like they have like brands of those. I think they're called like a Streamliner, and like there's a whole bunch that they actually were like known for. And then they'll play like, I think one of them has like a Gibson 335, which is like a killer guitar. But like, I have never really played those except at that guy's house. And what stunned me about those big chunky guitars, you know, they look, I don't know, to me they always looked like they'd weigh like 1,000,000 pounds, and you play them and they're like lighter than anything, you know, like it's like one of the lightest guitars just because of the hollow body. It's like it barely weighs anything, you know, which was really stunning to me, because I grew up, you know, playing like Fenders and mostly like Fender style guitars. So the idea of a guitar like that weighing less than like a Strat or a Tele was really surprising to me, because I always thought, man, that thing looks huge and uncomfortable, you know, but then like, yeah, it's like surprisingly like they're very light. Yeah, Jim was saying his Mustang weighs more than the Firefly. Yeah, I mean, for sure, yeah. But it's like that's one thing I just never realized was like, he's not smiling though. Here he looks like he's smiling. I want him to have those deep sunken eyebrows. There we go. Okay, and then we're gonna do our little outfit here. He's got his thing. Yeah, but those really are really cool. That's just a cool style of guitar. My brother Greg, who sometimes watches this channel, got an Ibanez. I think that was like that style of guitar. We were watching Chicken Run today, my wife and I. It's funny. I'd like to say we put that on for Ben. No, we just had it playing during lunch, because I love Aardman animation. I think they're incredible. Like Creature Comforts. If you guys have not seen Creature Comforts, you need to see Creature Comforts. It's like one of the best little like animated shorts ever made. And it's, you know, stop motion claymation. And they're most known for like Wallace and Gromit. But man, Chicken Run, that movie's great. Like I just like, it's been a while, couple years since we watched it, and it was fun to see. It was so fun to see. And I was like, man, that animation company is just something magical. You know, there's something special. They did a movie a couple years back that was 3D animation, and it was awful. It was like a mouse or something that, and it's kind of sad why they had to do it, because I think their animation building, like where they had years of like physical crafts, like they had built these sets for the Wallace and Gromit series, and like they had these full sets and stuff in this giant warehouse, and the warehouse just like burned down. And so, and it was like heartbreaking, because it's like all of the faces, all of the props, everything just was lost. And I think the animator was kind of heartbroken, and so they decided to do a CG movie, because they just didn't have the space. Like they were still kind of rebuilding their claymation. But holy crap, like that is like some of the best claymation you will ever see. And Chicken Run's just super fun. It's funny. Robert Johnson said, "Hey Josh, it's been a while. Have you gotten into Blue Sky Social yet? How about Threads?" No, I have not done either. Are they good? I haven't messed with any other. I just haven't really. Yeah, I just haven't. Are they good? I'm curious. How's it going, Robert? Yeah, Jake was saying it's flushed away. Yeah, and it just lost the magic of like the Aardman just vibe. There's something in that clay. Um, but yeah, and if anybody's like not even familiar with, I'm sure you guys are familiar with Wallace and Gromit, but if you aren't, check that out. And if you still need a reference for Aardman, they did all the you remember the Chevron cars, like the Chevron cars that were like had those funny mouths with like really big teeth. That is Aardman. And they also did, this is a little known fact about Aardman, they also used to do M&M commercials. So they did the first M&M green commercials that were done with traditional claymation. Those were Aardman. So yeah, that's Aardman animation. Incredible stuff. Robert said, I love claymation movies. Oh, is Blue Sky created by Jack from old Twitter? Interesting. Do you think it's ever going to get to the point where people call Twitter X? Like, I feel like that's just such a weird move. I've never been like a huge user of Twitter. Like, I just kind of repost whatever I post on other social media, but I don't engage much on Twitter. I read a lot on Twitter because it is like a shit show. Basically, it's like it's where you can watch just insane drama unfold. But I don't participate on Twitter. What's up? Okay. Okay. Awesome. But yeah, it's Twitter's an interesting platform, and there's some people who use it really well, but I feel like Twitter is really just a drama pile. Like it's the people who really use Twitter well are basically stirring or participating in drama. And it can be really entertaining, but again, it's just not really my social media space. I feel like for social media, my favorite the one that I use the most is YouTube. I still use YouTube the most. Jake was saying slowly the brand will shift to X. Yeah. Robert said I'm completely off Twitter. I understand why you'd be off Twitter. It's a it's fascinating, but yeah. It's bizarre to me to see what why am I having her like not looking at him? I just got way too tight with these roughs. Okay. And why is Mr. Home saying Mr. Home, you gave me a fright? Man, I'm off point, guys. Off point. Okay, now I'm on point. Okay. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I have been finding some stuff entertaining on Twitter that I still will pay attention to. I think it's been funny to watch a lot of the like Comicsgate folks just start to like disintegrate. That's been fun to watch. As mean as that is to say, it's been interesting to watch that little castle crumble. I'm enjoying that, seeing that. Because it's kind of like a lot of grifts where it was an effective grift, I think, for a while, but it's nice to see people finally waking up and being like, wait, this was a grift. I have to admit that's slightly entertaining. Let's see. Did I do... Okay, so this is going to have that faux... So this should actually be kind of reflecting that. Yeah, and then sometimes there's stuff in the news that, like, Twitter is actually good for like some real-time stuff. You just have to like really balance it out because there's a lot of misinformation on there. But I still find it useful for like just kind of keeping track of things. Jake was like, it was marketing all along. Exactly. But it's like, it's interesting to see like some stuff. But again, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm really all that savvy with social media. I think that most of my social media use is YouTube. And again, like even YouTube, to me, YouTube is great because it's just like hanging out. Like, I like to just hang out with you guys. As corny as that is, I like that. That's super fun. It's fun to like get work done and like have other creatives who are like working on stuff. Like to me, I think my most positive experiences have been on YouTube. Now I know there's other people who have like way negative experiences with YouTube, but for me, it's been really positive. It's like a way to hang out with friends and in real time and get some work done. So I actually had to speak at a Cal State Long Beach class. My friend Yevgenia, who went to grad school with me, is teaching a class there and asked if I could speak to her class. So I did. And one of the things I was saying that I like about YouTube to that class was that it feels a lot like you get this really cool thing when you're going to art school that is really, you miss a lot like after you're done. Like after you're done with art school, there's something really sad about it. Like because you get really pampered in art school. You get to hang out with creatives all day, and it's all these people who are like ambitious and have wild dreams, and like everybody's working hard and like trying to make cool new stuff and trying new mediums and techniques, and like they're all working on projects and you're all staying up late together and working on stuff, and it's like a really magical feeling. And I think YouTube is the closest to that I've been able to have since art school, and I really enjoy that a lot, like the energy you can get from that kind of experience. So I feel like that's kind of what I like about YouTube. It's a fun way to keep in touch too with like friends, you know, like Jim is one of my favorite people on the planet, and I get to hang out with Jim more often than I would otherwise, right? Like, because if we were to just hang out when we could physically get together, like we're both working on projects all the time, like that wouldn't happen very often. But because of, you know, the internet and YouTube and stuff, it's like I get to hang with Jim all the time, and I like that. So I like YouTube for that. I like Facebook Messenger. That's about it. We have a funny little Facebook Messenger group where we'll just kind of, you know, mention life stuff in there, or like things that are happening or interesting things. And I like that, you know, but yeah, I'm not really a savvy social media dude. But Robert, how is Blue Sky? Is it good? I'm kind of curious about that. Is it kind of similar to Twitter, or like what kind of platform is it? Robert's a good dude, by the way. If you guys haven't checked out Robert Johnson's stuff, you should. Also, we're about 2 hours into the stream, so if you haven't yet, hit that like button. That would be greatly appreciated. That helps more people find this stream. Okay, so this last thing is going to be Home saying seances can have that effect. Where is Mr. Eckley. Jim said, I haven't seen Robert Johnson since the Crossroads. Nice. Nice. Okay, so we're going to do our home here. Okay, so home is going to be here. Nice. Robert said Blue Sky is like Twitter in function. Interesting. Is there like an active user base on there? I found that a lot of these kind of alternate platforms, I don't know. I found they tend to be kind of dead, but again, I haven't really messed with them too much. And I'm like really slow to adapt. Like I was one of the last holdouts from MySpace. like that's how bad I am. Like it took me forever to switch from MySpace to Facebook after everybody had, just because I was like cozy where I was and I'm not really all that good at it. So I'm usually a very late adopter. But anyhow, I think now I'm really curious about fireflies. It's so funny. Jim sent me a picture. This is another thing I think a lot of people who are like guitar people or music people can get. There's like this funny thing where like when you get a new guitar, like hardly anyone is going to care. Like hardly anyone on the planet is going to be like, wow, that's amazing. How cool. But other guitarists, man, we'll like tweet each other. We'll send little like DMs to each other. We'll talk about the purchase we're about to make. I have like my 3 or 4 buddies where I'm like, I'm thinking about getting this. Do you know anything about this? Like we'll all talk about it. We always like show off when we get a new guitar. It's like, there's just this world of people who are like really obsessed with that and really enjoy that moment. Robert was saying you can find everybody you know on Threads though. Nice. Threads is through Facebook, right? I probably should set that one up. Probably a good idea. Might be a good idea, you know. So anyhow, when Jim sent me that picture, I'm like, I'm so excited for him. Like that must be so fun. That 335. I don't know what it is. It's like I really get joy seeing friends get new guitars. And it's kind of like one of those things of you know, it's just like it's such a fun experience to break in a new instrument, you know, or an old instrument like a used one, you know. Jake was saying Threads is on Instagram and it was dead on arrival. So it's pretty like there's not a lot of people on it. And she's going to have her shawl kind of thing going. And she's putting her compact back in her purse. The closed compact. Jake was saying it was the talk of the town barely for a week before people went back to X because of the mouse utopia addiction. Yeah, the thing is, I'm not a fan of Elon Musk, but I would love to own a Tesla. Does that make sense? It's like I'm not a fan of Elon Musk, but I also think it's really cool that he's sending rockets to space and stuff. I feel like he's a lunatic and a little scary and probably has a little too much power. But I also think like some of the things he does is really cool. So is that nerdy of me? I don't know. I almost feel bad. Like there was an era in time where you could kind of admit to like thinking Tesla is pretty rad. Nowadays, I feel like hipsters just like a lot of them drive Teslas, but it's like they'll be like, I hate Tesla. It's a bad company. And it's like, no, I would love to have a Tesla. They look like really cool cars, especially the Cybertruck. I want that Cybertruck so bad. I think that is the cheesiest, most awesome vehicle. it looks like dystopian in like the best ways. We got Ronnie Gunter of Crimson Owl Comics joining us. How's it going, Ronnie? I'm just wrapping up the stream. I really appreciate you stopping by. If you guys haven't yet, check out Comics de la Muerte. Dude. And check out Ronnie Gunter's stuff. Follow Crimson Owl Comics on YouTube. So yeah, it's kind of like a weird thing where I think it's a little scary that there's a guy who owns like space, the roads, and now like one of the biggest social media platforms in the world. That could be a little problematic, you know. Where you have like that's I think there might be some antitrust issues there. But also, I don't know, I would totally drive a Tesla if I could afford one, you know. Especially a Cybertruck because they kind of look like a DeLorean, you know. Yeah, Robert was saying Elon Musk killed the virtual town hall. Yeah, I mean, it is a little weird. Again, like I never really was big into following Twitter stuff anyway, so it hasn't been like that big of a shift that I've noticed, but I have noticed some things that are pretty toxic, like sort of perusing their way back into Twitter, you know. Yeah, so I don't know, man. But yeah, that's a little creepy. But I still wouldn't mind a Tesla, and I still think it's kind of cool that they're doing the SpaceX stuff. I think both things can be true at the same time. Okay, we are going to call it. That is going to do it for this rough. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can hopefully see the whole thing. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you guys very much. I think you guys are awesome. And it's such a talented and fun group of people. And I appreciate being able to know all of you guys. I believe that that a good friend of the show, let me see here. I believe a good friend of the show, Philip Chandler, said he's going to be going live in a couple of hours. So I would encourage you guys to go over to Philip Chandler's channel and go bomb Philip Chandler. Not like bomb him like physically, but like bomb his channel. Oh, nice. Jim said, I bought an amp for $99. Look up the Cyclops amp. Okay, I'm going to look that up too. I'm super curious. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. I'm excited to check that out. Philip's stream. And also, if you guys are online tomorrow, make sure you check out Artcasters and also check out Hey Man, how's your movie going on Jim Lujan's channel? Because I think, am I right, Jim? I think that's tomorrow. Am I right or am I right? All right, guys. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications when we go live. If you haven't picked up a copy of Jacob's Apartment or Two Stories, my 2 graphic novels, now would be a great time, considering I just took the gamble of leaving my gig as an art director and I could use the money. So so go buy Jacob's Apartment or Two Stories. And also, honestly, I think they're really good books. I put a lot of heart and soul into each one, and they're at really affordable rates, especially on Amazon. So, all right, guys, I will see you on the next live stream. And that'll probably be tomorrow on Artcasters, or in the chats for Jim's. Hey man, how is your movie going? All right, guys, have a good one, and I will see you next time. Bye.